What if the most honest book ever written about power was also the most controversial? What if understanding how influence, manipulation, and control actually work in the real world could fundamentally change how you navigate your career, your relationships, and your life? Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power has been banned in some American prisons, placed on restricted reading lists, and simultaneously embraced by some of the most successful entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders on the planet. Today we are going deep into the core lessons of this remarkable and often misunderstood book. Robert Greene published The 48 Laws of Power in 1998, drawing from over 3,000 years of history, philosophy, and human behavior. He studied the lives of figures like Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, Talleyrand, and Queen Elizabeth I, distilling their wisdom into 48 actionable laws. The book took 4 years to write and has since sold over 2 million copies worldwide, becoming one of the most read books in American prison systems, a favorite on the desks of hip-hop moguls like Jay-Z and 50 Cent, and a staple in Silicon Valley bookshelves. Greene himself is not a cynical man. He has stated repeatedly that his intention was not to create a manual for evil, but rather to hold up a mirror to the way power actually operates, so that readers can both use it wisely and defend themselves against those who use it against them. The central premise of the book is both simple and uncomfortable. Power is a game that everyone plays, whether they acknowledge it or not. Pretending it does not exist does not make you moral. It makes you vulnerable. Greene argues that the naive person, the one who refuses to understand power dynamics, is not the most ethical person in the room. They are simply the least prepared. With that foundation established, let us walk through some of the most critical and widely applicable laws from this landmark work. Law 1 tells us to never outshine the master. This is perhaps the most immediately practical lesson in the entire book. When you are new to a job, a social group, or any hierarchical environment, your instinct might be to demonstrate your full capability immediately. Greene warns that this is a trap. Those above you in the hierarchy feel their position is threatened when you shine too brightly, too early. Instead, make those above you feel comfortable, even superior. Make them feel their ideas are brilliant. Credit flows downward when you establish trust, and then your moment to rise arrives naturally. This law draws from historical examples like Nicolas Fouquet, Louis XIV's finance minister, who threw a lavish party to impress the king and ended up in prison for life because he made the king feel overshadowed and insecure. Law 3 teaches us to conceal your intentions. Greene does not mean you should be deceptive in your personal relationships in a harmful way. He means that broadcasting your goals and strategies gives your competition the roadmap to undermine you. Keep people guessing. Use misdirection. Let your actions speak at the moment of execution rather than announcing your plans in advance. This is why the most effective negotiators rarely reveal their true bottom line until the final moment, and why successful businesses guard product launches with intense secrecy before the reveal. Law 6 says to court attention at all costs. In a world drowning in information and noise, obscurity is death. Greene argues that being talked about, even negatively, is preferable to being ignored. The truly dangerous position in life is irrelevance. This law explains why certain public figures seem to court controversy deliberately. Attention is a currency, and those who understand this accumulate enormous social and professional capital. The key is making yourself interesting, unpredictable, and memorable in every environment you enter. Law 9 instructs us to win through actions, never through argument. This law speaks directly to one of the most common and expensive mistakes people make in professional environments. When you win an argument, you might feel victorious in the moment, but the person you defeated remembers the humiliation. They nurse their resentment. They wait for an opportunity to settle the score. Greene says that demonstrating your point through action is infinitely more powerful and lasting than proving someone wrong in a debate. Show, do not tell. Execute, do not lecture. Let results do the persuading. Law 15 is one of the most psychologically sophisticated in the entire collection. It says to crush your enemy totally. This sounds brutal at first, but Greene's reasoning is strategic rather than sadistic. When you defeat an opponent in business, politics, or competition, and then you leave them with enough power to recover, you have simply created a motivated and resourceful adversary who now has a personal reason to destroy you. History is full of examples. Napoleon was exiled rather than executed, returned, and caused a second catastrophic war. Greene argues that half measures in serious conflicts create more suffering in the long run than decisive, complete resolution. Law 16 teaches us to use absence to increase respect and honor. This is a counterintuitive but extraordinarily powerful truth about human psychology. The more present you are, the more people take you for granted. Scarcity creates value. When you are always available, always visible, always accessible, you diminish your own worth in the eyes of others. The person who creates strategic distance, who does not respond to every message immediately, who occasionally removes themselves from a situation, triggers a psychological need in others. People want what they cannot easily have. This principle applies in romantic relationships, professional dynamics, and even social media strategy. Law 18 says do not build fortresses to protect yourself, isolation is dangerous. This law seems to contradict the previous one, and that tension is intentional. Greene is not advocating for permanent withdrawal. He is saying that complete isolation, cutting yourself off from information, from relationships, from the flow of social intelligence, makes you weak. The fortress mentality leads to paranoia and blind spots. Power requires circulation. You must be connected to networks of information, allies, and influence. Balance presence and absence strategically, never going to either extreme. Law 28 advises us to enter action with boldness. Timidity is one of the most dangerous qualities a person can display in a competitive environment. Hesitation signals doubt, and doubt is contagious. When you act boldly, even in uncertain circumstances, you project confidence that others interpret as competence. Greene draws from the careers of military generals who won battles not through superior numbers but through the sheer psychological shock of an audacious, unexpected move. In business, this translates to the entrepreneur who launches before they feel perfectly ready and captures the market before cautious competitors finish their planning. Law 33, discovering each man's thumbscrew, is perhaps the most psychologically nuanced law in the book. Everyone has a weakness, an insecurity, a desire, or a fear that drives their behavior. The person who can identify these emotional levers in others holds enormous influence. Greene is careful to note that this knowledge can be used for good, to build genuine rapport and connection, or it can be weaponized. Understanding what motivates people allows you to communicate with them more effectively, to inspire rather than demand, and to build loyalty rather than simple compliance. Law 38 says think as you like but behave like others. This is a law about social camouflage. Expressing unconventional views or radical ideas in environments that are not ready for them is not brave. It is simply ineffective. Greene argues that truly powerful people understand the social contract of their environment. They conform publicly when necessary while pursuing their genuine vision. Privately, revealing their true ideas only when the timing and audience are right. This is not hypocrisy. It is strategic intelligence. Finally, Law 48, the last law, tells us to assume formlessness. This is perhaps Greene's most philosophical law, deeply influenced by Taoist thought. The most dangerous and powerful entities in nature are those that cannot be pinned down, predicted, or contained. Water is formless and yet shapes everything it touches. Organizations and individuals who become too rigid in their identity, their methods, or their strategy become predictable, and predictability is the enemy of power. Adaptability is the ultimate long-term competitive advantage. What makes the 48 Laws of Power genuinely enduring is not that it teaches people to be ruthless.